Hi, welcome to Calamazag Nursery down in sunny Cornwall. We're a family-run nursery specialising in scented pinks and in species Dianthus. We grow over 100 varieties at our nursery and we'd like to give you a little insight into what we do.
So we have two methods of propagation at the nursery. All of our pinks and our alpine pinks are all grown from mother stock. This is a nice little alpine plant here. We take the cuttings and then we put them into the plug trays, and then about 6 to 8 weeks later, depending on the weather and the time of year, we'll end up with a plug that looks like this one. These are then ready to be potted up, and then several months later, probably about 2 months later, we'll end up with a plant that looks like that, which is then obviously garden ready. So our species Dianthus, they're all done from seed, which we collect from our own plants. So this is actually some Rainbow Loveliness seeds that I collected last summer. So we let them dry out, we let them all fall, and then we sort them out. And I then sow them, obviously. And this is a tray that I sowed in March, and these are now a few more weeks, and they will be ready to be potted up. And then in another couple of months, probably by June, they'll be ready to be sold as lovely scented plants.
So once our cuttings are rooted and they're ready to be potted up, they'll look something like this. We then pop them into a pot like this size. These are then put on the bench and left for about a fortnight, depending on the weather. They then will often get a central spike like this coming up. This needs to be removed so that they will then become nice and bushy. They'll get put back on the bench, and normally in about 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the weather, they'll end up something like this size, which if then they are rooted, which that one is, nicely rooted, they're ready then to go out to customers and go straight out in the gardens.
So we've put together a small selection of the pinks that are currently flowering at the moment in the nursery. As you can see, there's quite a difference in colour, and the perfume really is amazing from them. If we start here, we've got Valda Wyatt. She's a very, very pretty colour, very strongly perfumed, and is great in a vase. And then we move on here. This is Gran's favourite. She was actually bred in the 1950s. She's again very, very strongly perfumed, but not really quite so great in a vase because she's got slightly floppier stems. We move on now. This is Houndspool Cheryl, again very, very good in a vase and obviously still in your garden. Very strongly perfumed, flowers all summer long and very much liked by the bees. Something slightly different we've got is Tequila Sunrise. It's a new variety that was bred a few years ago. Again, it's unusual because it's a single and it's very, very strongly perfumed. Different again on the colour. This is Devon Wizard. It's a very different colour really. Again, great for flower arranging. It's got incredibly strong stems and incredibly lovely perfume. Flowers pretty much all summer. We move on then to Cantor, which is this lovely pure white. Again, beautiful perfume, great for flower arranging and also great in the garden. Next to it we've got the lovely Zantedeschia Wyatt. Again, beautifully perfumed, as to be fair they all are. She again is great for cut flowers and in the garden, flowers all season. Next we've got a much older variety, which is, where is he? There you are. It's Cantor Rock. Again, quite an unusual colour because of the sort of speckled nature of it. Unfortunately, it does have a slight issue, which is that it tends to, as you can see there, the calyx is split, so the flowers actually split a bit. So not brilliant for flower arranging, but is still incredibly pretty. Then something slightly different, which is flowering and has actually been flowering on and off all winter, is a pink that we bred ourselves, which is called Freddie. This is actually a type of cheddar pink, so it's got a slightly floppier habit. Wouldn't be any good for flower arranging, but is great in the garden and is exceedingly hardy. So again, perfume is lovely. And then next to it we've got a little variety called Little Jock. This one is fully hardy, very, very perfumed, and is flowering itself merrily away. There's a few left to go.
So of all the varieties that we grow at the nursery, they all have a few basic needs in common. They all like a very, very well drained, neutral to alkaline soil. They all want to be in full sun, and they also all like and enjoy a nice high potash feed when they start to flower. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed our short introduction to the nursery, and you can find out more information about us from the website.
So we're always being asked the question, how do you decide what to choose? There's so many different coloured flowers and plants and leaves, you know. How do you know which ones to choose? How do you put your displays together even with all these colours? Well, this is how we do it really, and this is how you should do it, sort of thing, for your garden. Firstly, go with something you like. So if you don't like red, you wouldn't want to be putting a red one in. But if you do like red, you could pick yourself a really nice red one. This one's Heuchera cranberry, and it gets gorgeous red colour on it in full sun. It'll go a little bit paler if you put it in the shape, and it's gorgeous. It goes really, really well with this one, I think. I love this combination. Now, you might not like it, but at a show, quite often we put this combination together because they look nice. This one is Forever Purple, and it's a beautiful, rich, deep purple with dark veins in it. That's nice. So, and then I might put with that a really nice orangey one, and this one's called Tangerine Wave. And as you can see, it's got loads of ripples on the leaves there, and it has lovely pink back on it, this one, which picks up the colours in these, you see. So you put the three together and they look really nice together, I think. So they're great for in a sunny spot or something, or a light spot. You can put them in part shade as well. Another combination, some more of my favourite things would be, I quite like this. This is one called Wild Berry, very pretty, and it goes very well, I think, with the Sugar Plum. This one's Richard's favourite. He always likes that one, has for years. They look lovely, and they're lovely for a light spot or even in a sunny spot. I'll put those there together. Now I'm going to look for another one to go with those. You could put something like a pink pearls with that. This one gets gorgeous flowers on it, and I like those three together. I'll pick them up so you can see them together. They're gorgeous, aren't they? I like working in threes, fives, sevens, any odd number. They look good together. Next I'm going to do, I'll probably put these, so I'll put these here. So this one's called Guacamole. Beautiful plant, large foliage, but this has to have some shade. This will not go in the full sun, otherwise it will burn up. But it's lovely for deep shade or part shade. So we can put that one there. And with that one, I'm probably going to go for this one. Oh, this is a lovely Heucherella. This is actually a Heucherella, and that's crossed with a Tiarella. And you get this, and it gives it all this gorgeous sort of different markings. It goes really dark as the weather goes cooler, and it gets a very bright edge, but it looks great in summer as well. And it gets these pretty white flowers on, and that one I think looks really nice with that. They go gorgeous together, don't they? So which one shall I go for next? I think I'm going to go for this Tiarella. This was my favourite. This is my favourite at the moment, and this is Tiarella Emeraldelli, and I love it. As I said before, if you looked at the thing before, you could see that I love it because it's got all these gorgeous markings and shaped foliage. So that's a really nice combination, the three of them together there, for a shady spot or even light shade or dappled shade. You could put those. I'm going to have to go over myself now, so I'm going to pick some more now. I'm going to pick this one. This one, flowers and flowers and flowers. She never stops, and she's Heuchera Paris. She has gorgeous foliage with silver markings on, and she becomes covered in flowers, and just fabulous. The bees love it. Great plant. She will go with almost anything. You could add her to this one because she will take some sunshine as well, and she'll go in part shade. You could add her to this one, and she'd look equally gorgeous there, I think. And you could even add her to this one, I think, as well. So she looks really nice with a lot of those. But I could also put her with this fabulous variety. Look at this one. This one's called High Hopes, and beautiful large foliage, has to have shade though. Again, if you notice, this lighter leaf has to have shade. It gets these red markings in, which sort of fade and then come back again. They keep changing all the time. Remember, these foliage don't stay the same. They alter depending on where you're going to put them, the time of the year and the age of the plant. So they look lovely together, I think. And another favourite of mine is this one here, and it's called this one's called forgot what it's called. Bronze Beauty. Sorry. So many to choose from. I wanted to call it something else then. Sorry. It is a lovely variety. It gets this velvety foliage which makes it really nice, and great big leaves on this one, and lovely arching stems of cream flowers. You want to put this at the back, and that will look lovely there with that combination. If you wanted to add to it another larger leaf, this one is called Heucherella Art Nouveau, and nice markings on this will go deeper than markings as the plant matures, and as you can see, the leaves are pretty big. I love that one as well, and I think that's a nice one for going with this. These really could go in light shade. This one definitely has to have shade though. So, and then you could finish that combination off with a really nice orangey one, and this one's called Caramel. She likes a little bit of partial shade from the hottest sun of the day, and so that's why I put her in this combination, and I think she'll sort of make it pop a little bit as well and pick up some of these tones in the other plants. So there we go. I think that's a really nice little mix there together as well. So it's up to you what you pick. Well, that's what I've put together today. Enjoy your heucheras, they're absolutely fantastic. Thanks for listening.
Right, Pete Walker here from Wack's Wicked Plants again. Today we're going to be planting up a toilet. Because we're in Yorkshire, we call it a bog, of course, so it's a Yorkshire bog garden. Now, Billy ain't going to be too happy because he normally drinks out of this. But anyway, look, there's Billy with his shirt on. I got told if it's this weather he has to wear a t-shirt or he gets sunburnt, bless him. So first thing we're going to do is, we've got some old moss here that we're not going to use for anything, so I'm going to block it up, but also means that it can still drain. So this is to block the actual hole at the bottom, but the water will still run through. I'll put a bit of that in to fill it up. It is sphagnum moss, long fibred sphagnum. I'll put a fair bit of that in, that'll give it a real nice base, if you like. And then we're going to add our compost, which is a mix of peat and perlite. Peat-free options are available on our website. So we'll scoop a bit of that in. In fact, I'll use my hands, it's easier. So in we go with the compost. The plant we're going to plant in it is in fact a Yorkshire Sarracenia. It was rescued from a moor called the Eastern Moor in between Sheffield and Derbyshire, near Chatsworth in fact. And we didn't pinch it, we were asked to remove it by the RSPB a few years ago. So we've kept this colony that we rescued, we've kept it going, and we collect seeds off it every year and plant them up. So we're going to pop the plant in, and it's going to be its new home, is this bog or toilet. There we go. It's in a peat-free mix, is this, I've just noticed. So that still wants a little bit more compost in it, so we'll hang fire. Put a drop more soil in. And this will naturalise in here and look like it's been in there forever. So we'll pop her in. Proper Yorkshire Sarracenia. There we go. Now we'll just fill around the edges, obviously, to get it nice and snug in its new home. Sun's shining today, so all's good. My neighbour got me this, he's a plumber, so he got me toilet for. We used it at Harrogate last year in an outdoor display called a bog garden, of course, and it did look good. Got a gold medal, so a Premier Gold at Harrogate, so that cheered us up. Shame we're missing that this year, but anyway. There's always next year, isn't there, if everything's sorted out. We might bring this along for our outdoor display. So just filling round edges, firmer in. Make sure it's nice and firm in its new hole, in its new home. Now the finishing touch is to put some lovely green moss around it so that it looks natural. So obviously the soils don't look so good. So here we go, look, beautiful green sphagnum moss. That's what the plant was naturally growing in up on the moors all those years ago. Yeah, we went up there. As I say, the RSPB contacted us, said it was an alien invader on the moors. And of course we were happy to oblige. Went up there, I went in a moon buggy. The wife had to walk, which is how it should be obviously. Got stuck in the mud, didn't you, love? This was prior to having Billy, or he'd have enjoyed it up there. Chasing a few pheasants around, or grouse or whatever up there. It was a bit bleak up there, it has to be said, but it proves how hardy these plants are. Obviously they've been growing up on the moor for years without any problems at all. The reason they wanted rid of them, because obviously they're not native, they're an American, North American plant, and their worry was that they were interfering with our native fauna and flora, sundews and the like, and overtaking their habitat. To be fair, it wasn't a huge colony when we got there, but there were some lovely plants, and as I say, we were happy to give them a new home. So there we are, tidy the toilet up a bit. Always remember to clean your toilet. Right, final thing I'm going to do is get a rose watering can. Have we no can, love? That's not going to cut them off. We'll come back to the watering in at the end. Right, finally found a can, and we're just going to give it a good do with the old rose watering can. Get it nice and wet. Give the toilet a quick clean while we're at it. Sorry Billy, your toilet's gone, lad. He used to love to drink that really horrible green stuff out the bottom of this. So there we go. And there you have Sarracenia purpurea in a Yorkshire bog.
Now you have received your plants, you've given them a good water, they're now ready to go into a bigger pot or into the ground. And don't forget, Alstroemeria are hungry and will need a weekly liquid feed in the summer. Also, you will need to regularly deadhead by twisting and pulling the stem out. This will encourage the plant to regrow.
So to take an Aeonian cutting, you're looking really to take an established plant, like this lovely one here. This is toffee apple, 3 centimetres down from the top. Give it a good clean cut, and then we put them in seed trays like this. This allows the stems to stay straight and the roots to grow downwards, which helps with planting. We'll leave them there now for at least 2 weeks. These are some that we've done earlier, and what we look to do here,
where they may or may not have sprouted roots, but they're nicely calloused over and really dry. They're a succulent. They store everything that they need in their bodies, and they don't really need to be in contact with the soil in order to stay alive. Now, what we like to do is get some nice gritty compost. We use John Innes No. 2 and grit, up to about 40% grit. We like to make a little hole, tuck in the aeonium cutting, firm it down, and then leave it again for a week before we water it. And then it starts to take on growth and ends up like these.
Hello, I'm Matthew from Brighter Blooms. In this greenhouse you can see we've got a younger crop of Zantedeschia, so the first flowers are just starting to appear on them, as opposed to the last greenhouse we were in where there's full flowered plants really. So what a lot of people won't know actually is that we actually grow quite a bit of veg, both for ourselves but also for the earlier flower shows where we display containerised veg and sell veg seed and seed potatoes alongside that. So in here we're growing a lot of our own veg, and this year, because we were around at the nursery and Mossett flower shows, we have actually grown a lot more veg than we would possibly ordinarily do. We've been here to look after it as well. So we've just been looking at the tomatoes, and we've grown a lot of peppers this year. They've done really well actually, and you can see some of them here that have got covered in chili peppers. So some that are already quite red, nice hot ones. Variety called Cyclone. Very exciting, first time we've grown this one, black one, a black sweet pepper this one. It will get a lot bigger than that as well yet. And then some other chilies as well that are sort of hot ones that we've been growing. We might be best known for growing Zantedeschia, but actually we're keen growers and gardeners aside from the Zantedeschia, and we do quite like our trees as well. So we have a personal collection of bits and bobs of trees. Here you can see a ginkgo biloba. These are all containerised, these particular ones that we've got growing here. An almond grown from a very small seedling, not awfully happy up here in this climate, but it's grown, and we haven't had any almonds. I don't think we will up here. We've got 4 or 5 of these big red aces. These are actually the Chelsea aces. They go down as a backdrop to Chelsea, so I've had those for a number of years, and they've made a few visits to Chelsea now. Olive tree, half standard, growing in a container. This gets moved in every winter. From Todd's Botanics, this one, and they sort of specialise in those. Catalpa, or the Indian bean tree, we had that nice hot beginning to the year this year, and it forces it into actually producing beans really. Last year we didn't get any beans at all. The summer just wasn't hot enough for it, but that was good this summer really. So here we are on the allotment on the nursery, and this we're sort of developing so that we can test some of the vegetable seed that we actually sell. So we grow it ourselves, see how it goes, and also eventually we'll be able to have people sort of looking around this area as well. So we've actually again had a little bit more time this year, so we have managed to keep on top of things a little bit better than if we've been away at shows all the time. So we'll just have a bit of a wander down and see how things are looking. The sweet peas done pretty well this year. A bit of a slow start really. Various brassicas and onions that have done well. They're just in their final throes really. They'll be lifted soon, but they got a pretty decent size this year. Tomatoes always a bit of a struggle in the north, we find, but just starting to come outside. Broad beans and peas. Runner beans.
Mashua.
And then this is a bit of an unusual one, Mashua, that we're trying out this year. And then we always grow a big area of potatoes. So we have the potato day at the nursery in February, and we like again to test some of the varieties that we grow. So we tend to try and grow about 6 or 8 different varieties of potatoes each year, out of around about the 100 that we sell earlier in the year as seed potato. So this is the other side of the allotment. We're looking towards the allotment now, and we've got a big green open space here, which is where we host the Tulip Open Day. We have around about 70 varieties of tulips that we grow and display for the Tulip Open Day. All the details for that can be found on the website with dates and so we create displays in this big green space that we have, and we've been developing a garden around the outside of it so that there's a bit more interest, and people get to wander around all that and look at the tulips and place orders if they wish during that sort of event. We have tea, coffee, cake usually for a charity fundraiser at that event as well, plus all the displays of the veg again, and seed and bulbs and that side of things for sale as well. And to conclude our video really, this is the latest addition to the garden area. The new border we've put in here, big sweeping border. Only just planted it, so we'll keep watering it over the summer and let it bed in. Looks a bit sparse at the moment, but it's got time to find its feet during this summer. So thank you very much for watching. You can find all our details on the website.
Hello, Vicky here from Craig House Cacti, and today I'm going to be showing you how to grow cacti from seed. It is mid-April, but seed can be sown anytime. The first thing that we're going to do is to fill a pot with very gritty compost. See here how gritty that is. Once your pot is filled, you can then use distilled water to soak it. If you haven't got distilled water, then you can always boil a kettle up. The next thing we do is sow our seeds on top. Now the seeds are very small, as you can see, but they can go on the surface a few at a time and spread them out. Once that is done, you need to put a label in them to let us know what you have sown, and then they go into a bag. And typical Blue Peter, here's one I have already done. Label, bag. The bag is sealed tightly, don't leave any gaps. Germination takes between 5 and 21 days, but your seeds will have to stay in this bag for at least 12 months or until you think they are of a handleable size. When you think the time is right, you can take a pair of scissors or a knife and just cut a little slot every other day until you get to the end of the bag, and that should take you at least a fortnight. Once that is done, you will have your plants, your seedlings. These were done in October last year,
and you can see that now they are getting ready to be moved onto their individual pots. In due time, the plants with seedlings will then grow into nice small plants. Hello, Vicky here from Craig House Cacti, and today I'm going to be showing you how to grow cacti from seed. It is mid-April, but seed can be sown anytime. The first thing that we're going to do is to fill a pot with very gritty compost. See here how gritty that is. Once your pot is filled, you can then use distilled water to soak it. If you haven't got distilled water, then you can always boil a kettle up. The next thing we do is sow our seeds on top. Now the seeds are very small, as you can see, but they can go on the surface a few at a time and spread them out. Once that is done, you need to put a label in them to let us know what you have sown, and then they go into a bag. And typical Blue Peter, here's one I have already done. Label, bag. The bag is sealed tightly, don't leave any gaps. Germination takes between 5 and 21 days, but your seeds will have to stay in this bag for at least 12 months or until you think they are of a handleable size. When you think the time is right, you can take a pair of scissors or a knife and just cut a little slot every other day until you get to the end of the bag, and that should take you at least a fortnight. Once that is done, you will have your plants, your seedlings. These were done in October last year, and you can see that now they are getting ready to be moved onto their individual pots. In due time, the plants with seedlings will then grow into nice small plants.